and they're off.
Further Faster, the best independently owned outdoor store in the known universe. Whether you're heading out on climbing, paddling, tramping or running adventures, look no farther than Further Faster for all your gear and expertise needs over the winter. Head over to 57A Buchan Street, Sydenham or Tautahi Christchurch or hit them up at furtherfaster.co.nz.
And look, before we crack on, we are heading down to Further Faster Friday 17th of October for a live show. This is the weekend of the Crater Rim Ultra, so join Ali, me, and a host of special guests for an excellent evening celebrating the sport that we love with some absolute legends, and by that we mean you lot, and Rocky, and Jules, and Badger, and the amazing crew at Further Faster. So stay tuned for ticket sales soon.
It goes something like Further Faster, they're in Christchurch, Rocky is hairy and so is Badger, Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious, go to Further Faster now.
Oh, Further Faster, they're in Christchurch, Rocky is hairy and so is Badger, Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious, go to Further Faster now.
Dirt Church Radio.
Episode 382 of the Dirt Church Radio Trail and Ultra Marathon running podcast. That didn't even make sense. Kia ora, I'm Matt Raymond.
I'm Ali Pottinger.
And look, before we start, support Dirt Church Radio on Substack. After 8 years of sharing the voices and stories of trail running, we need your help to keep going strong. Your support helps us reach new places, share more interesting stories with interesting runners like this week's interesting story, and continue documenting the sport we all love. So join our community to help fuel the next chapter of Dirt Church Radio. We'd really appreciate it. Ali, it's me and you rolling as a duo this week because Andrew's off literally tooting his horn somewhere.
He's literally tooting his horn.
He's ran away and joined a reggae band. Not a euphemism. How have you been?
Pretty good, yeah. I did the Great Forest Rogan in the weekend, it's something that I try and do every year, and I just love it. It's so much fun. So yeah, stoked to be out there again and seeing everyone on the trails, and it's like a little treasure hunt in the forest. It's so good.
How far did you? What is it? Fixed distance or time or?
It's fixed time. So you've got a 3 hour or 6 hour foot or mountain bike. I did the 3 hour foot with my friend Charlotte, and you've got to try and get back in before the 3 hours is up. Otherwise, for every minute you're over, you lose like 100 points. So it's pretty brutal. So you'll see people just like sending it back to the finish, just struggling, trying to make it in time so they don't lose any points. Yeah. So
Whakarewa, obviously.
Yeah.
And trails we all know, or is it a bit different?
Well, they change the starting hub each year, so you don't know until after you've entered, I think, where it's going to be, which is quite cool. So it kind of mixes it up a bit. And it is like you get a map and you can see all of the trails and the illegal trails as well. There's areas that are that you can't go, so kind of hashed areas. And so it's quite handy for us having a bit of local insider knowledge, which is, often plays to your advantage. But, it's pretty cool. So you get this little map. I'll show you. The listeners won't be able to see it, but this is what it looks like. Well, they'll get the noise. Bit of ASMR for you guys and girls.
Fantastic.
Yeah, cool, eh?
I told you last time Rebecca and I went down to Rotorua, we tried to navigate by Mankey.
Oh, yeah.
Which, for those, if you are listening from overseas, in Rotorua, if you go to the Rotorua Information Centre, they will sell you a Mankey, which is a map/hanky. And it's printed on cloth. Sean McWilliams, the legend that he has, sent me up one. And turns out I'm even worse than navigating on a regular map than I am on a map that is a handkerchief. So we got lost, but it was a good day. It was a good day out.
How was your weekend?
Well, my weekend, look.
Be honest.
I was thinking about our guest who's done some pretty incredible stuff and has come back and has now got Lyme disease. I've got Bell's palsy, which not ideal. Better than I sort of look like Sloth from the Goonies.
You do not.
Sort of. But hey, you guys. But But I'm dating myself with that reference. But the, Tuesday morning, I thought I was in a meeting and was like, well, I'm having a stroke. Side of my face went right side of my face, just completely numb. Can't close my eye. Can't, I'm getting a bit better now, but like with the mouth movements. But yeah, it's crazy. It's irritation of the facial nerve, so one of the cranial nerves, and it's either a virus or a stress response. And probably erring more to stress response. But it's good that now at least I'm manifesting my high levels of stress physiologically than psychologically. So I feel
Winning.
Yeah, exactly. Would you rather feel like you're about to have a mental breakdown or just one side of your face go numb? Now,
I don't know.
Send your comments and slide into my DMs and tell me about that. But
Or don't.
Or don't. It's your choice. So I'm on prednisone. I was just saying off mic, just props to anyone who's on long-term steroids for health at relative, and I'm sure it's a relatively minor dose, but like at high doses, it's kicking me around a little bit. But in regards to running, managed to balance quite a nice week still. I did a lot of kind of reading about it and thinking like, oh, well, am I just up on blocks now for a while? But no, they're saying, go out, exercise, blood flow is really good, all those endorphins and stuff like that. So as long as you're not totally like wankering yourself. So although it was, and probably quite nice to have a bit of a deloading week, So got out. The week wasn't so hot, but like got out for some really nice runs in the forest on the weekend. Yesterday it was cold and wet and kind of fun, and the day before felt nice and automatic and good. So, I mean, you roll with the punches, I guess. But I'm pretty keen to have this go away because it sucks. And
A few less punches be nice every now and then.
Yeah, a few less punches.
Just like step out of the ring for a bit.
Yeah. But look, I mean, well, God punches you in the side of the face and then opens a window or something. But we're going back to the Fireys climb in the Blue Mountains. That's something that's awesome that's happened this week. Hey, Ali.
Oh, so excited to be heading back there for such an amazing cause too, like raising money for motor neuron disease and the amazing work that Professor Dom does. He is a professor, isn't he?
He is a professor.
Yeah.
Yep. Macquarie University.
And it'll be great to catch up with everybody and see some Fireys climbing stairs.
Yeah. Gavin was ringing this week and he was talking about how many it's growing exponentially. There's going to be north of 500 people there, I think.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how they're going to do it.
It's going to be a train. So we're going to roll up. I think we're going to have details to be announced, but there's a couple of other. They have podcasts in Australia too. I didn't know that. And there's a couple of other podcasts coming up: the Cowbell and Trail Talk, Talk and Trail Talk. Sorry if I got that wrong. And it's going to be epic. So it's going to be amazing. Really, really excited. So that's another adventure. And actually, the last time we went to Fireys Climb was just before, literally, like probably the weekend before you jumped on board.
Yeah, you talked to me about it on the plane, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was like, hey, Ali, do you want to come and be part of Dirt Church Radio? And yeah, how sick was that?
And look where we are now. It's almost like a 2-year anniversary.
Exactly.
How time flies.
How time flies when you're having fun.
What's that in the wedding anniversary things? Like, what's this? So is it? I don't even know.
Well, we're now a throuple because of Andrew. But I'm not.
Is that polyamorous?
Well, is it? It just sounds complicated.
There's no amorous, to be honest.
Just poly, just complicated. But it's nice to have fun and it's nice to laugh with your friends and transitioning somewhat to our guest this week. Ali and I had the absolute pleasure of speaking to Jeff Garmire. Now, I heard him described the other day as the Michael Jordan of walking, which is an amazing way to describe yourself or be described. Jeff is a professional ultra runner, through hiker, author. He set FKTs, completed the calendar year Triple Crown. He's ran the Cocodona 256 times, and he's come top 10 every single year. He's authored a book, Free Outside, and also has the Free Outside and Free Inside podcast, which are absolutely amazing. Like, honestly, some of my favorite trail running media. He's FKTs on the Colorado Trail, John Muir, Arizona, Pinhoti Trail, and a bunch more. 15 plus ultra marathons over 100 miles. And what an amazing conversation.
He was super cool. I really enjoyed him. Like, yeah, just fun. And amazing topics covered, like talking about his roots in the sport, mental health, engagement with others, authorship, podcasting, connection, the whole 9 yards. So without further delay, please enjoy our conversation with the one and only Jeff Garmire.
Jeff Garmire, welcome to Dirt Church Radio. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. Completely stoked that you're here. And thank you for making time with us. I mean, I know that you've just been on, I've seen some people on bachelor parties and, they have a bit of a bender. I never had a bachelor party, and I'm quite glad that I dodged that. But if I was going to have had a bachelor party, I would have liked a bachelor party like you had. What have you been up to?
Yeah, I think it's the best way. I wanted to not have a bachelor party as you traditionally think about them. So I just swung the other way and went to Europe for a month, backpacked and ran like 400 miles across most of the mountain ranges out there. So yeah, pretty different style.
What? I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this. It ties into a change of life though. Hey, you were really open in your podcast that, and getting married certainly is a change of life, and new challenges, new things to work through, new things to work out. What was it like for you as someone who's not been, not you've spent a lot of time alone doing stuff, but in another space, in another country? What was that like, say, doing the Tour De Mont Blanc?
Yeah, it was really interesting, especially to be gone for a month in predominantly countries that didn't speak any English, and especially some of the areas that I was in. So like I show up and enter through Portugal and then fly to France. And there it's like, I can't figure out anything. It's overwhelming. It's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a really tough month. And then within the first couple days, I get out to the Tour de Mont Blanc and really connect and sink into like this is still a trail. These are mountains. This is really cool, enjoyable, striking. So it like hit the reason I was over there, which really is a passion and stuff, just being outside and doing these things that push your body. And then kind of over the month I would do like a 4 to 7 day adventure and then have to work a couple days and walk around and see one of the cities because I had to be a little touristy as well. But over that time, through like 4 of these cycles or 4 of these weeks, I got so much more comfortable in my ability to figure it out. Even if the announcements are in a foreign language or no one can help me, it's like there's so many tools here, and just the confidence that I'm going to be able to use them right, get on the right bus, take the right train, get off at the right stop, all of these things. So it was really cool to be gone for that long. And I think it's kind of similar to like through hikes or when people do really long adventures or even start running or something where you stick with it for a long time, as you notice the things that were really overwhelming and really hard right at the beginning. By a month or however long after that initial time, you realize that you can handle all those things and they're not such a big deal. And maybe you're like struggling to do level 2, like talk to people in Spanish or something. But it was really cool to get that aspect of it throughout the trip as well.
And I mean, you packed on the challenge. You're doing an ultra. You did the GR20 in Corsica, and coming from, you're renowned for the Appalachian Trail, all that stuff. You've got proper wildlife where you're from, right? We don't have anything. We got birds. That's it. No, one native mammal, small bat, pretty harmless. You got bitten by a fox.
Yeah, on like
Not
day
even a dog,
4.
a fox.
Yeah, day 4 of this trip, I got bit by an Italian fox. It wanted my food. I was sitting out there eating, looking at the sunset, and this fox gets closer and closer. And then, like, eventually I could see, like, it's coming close enough where it's like, this is a problem. It needs to go away. So I packed up my stuff. And as I was finally walking away to, like, de-escalate things or not let it get any food, that's when he just ran up and bit me on the leg. And it was like, what the heck is happening here? How are these foxes wild? This thing, I'm walking away from it and it's attacking me.
Sneak attack. I mean, obviously, I'm unsure if it understood Italian or English. I mean, it's obviously a wild animal, but that's crazy. Were you like, I'm done, or was it just another kind of problem to solve?
Yeah, I wasn't too worried about it, I guess. I think when I told my fiance, she was more worried, and then she told her mom, and then I think I said it in a podcast or on a video or something on social media, and everyone else was more worried. And so it was one of those moments where it's like, I guess my scale of like what is worrisome in the outdoors is probably very skewed versus just catching the right bus or train felt more worrisome. But yeah, I wasn't too concerned, but then I was told I should be a lot more concerned about it.
Did you need to get a tetanus shot or something? Like, I don't even know. Do foxes carry tetanus?
Yeah, I probably should have. I went to the pharmacy and they said like an antiseptic thing was going to be good enough, but they've eradicated rabies in pretty much all of Europe. So at least that wasn't a concern because that could have been really bad. So that's kind of where things were at. I was unfazed by the outdoor aspects, whether it was some of the scrambling or cool stuff that I did. And yeah, even like the ultra marathon, one part of the required gear was a helmet. And it was like, well, I have no idea what this means or why we need it, but I guess I'll figure that out. And then, yeah, just some of the more, just probably the things that people who've traveled to Europe or traveled a lot, I think those things were the bigger things that stood out on like, room for improvement. Fox bite, that's okay. Happens all the time in Montana. No big deal. But having your passport checked, booking a flight to a different country, a little different.
Yeah, you're so right. I remember I spent a long period here not traveling and then going over with Ali for the first time to Australia to commentate at Ultra Australia. That was a whole new different thing. You know, I had to get a passport renewal and get everything. And and that's a country where we speak the same language. And, you know, if we're pretty close in terms of sort of culturally and, you know, that was fine. But I remember thinking, geez, you know, getting to a new airport for the first time, that I was more worried about that than going out in the bush with snakes and stuff like that. It's amazing how that works. Our brain, what we pay attention to in terms of worry.
Yeah, the second you send your bag through like the security machine, you're just like, did I accidentally pack a bunch of illegal stuff? I don't know anymore. Like, here we go.
I was going through Sydney domestic airport. I was much later, travelled heaps. And I had a T-shirt on, and it was the Aotearoa Marathon of Afghanistan, because the people who organised the Afghanistan Marathon in Afghanistan had to get out pretty quickly when the country fell. Long story short, they come here to Aotearoa, and they wanted to recreate the marathon, and so my family helps out. And I had the T-shirt on. And I saw the security people start running towards me as I was coming through. They had the wands out, and I was like, "Okay,
oh my gosh,
am I being randomly singled out here? Like, what's?"
Yeah, as if someone like looking to cause any issues would dress so blatantly to be singled out immediately.
Yeah, 100%. It's the last thing they'll suspect.
Yep.
So, taking it back, again, it's almost like we come to this spot, and you're fully formed, you in the consciousness and doing the podcast. What was your first taste of sport?
Wow, probably like when I was 4 years old playing soccer, and I was very competitive then. Like as soon as there was a chance to win or lose or just try really hard at something where that was celebrated, I was all in. So from then on, it was play as many sports as possible. I think I just really, because I liked the practice and training and stuff for them as much or more than the competitions or the games. And I think that's what I really appreciated is like if you practice or try harder at this thing, you will get better. Or even if it's a skill or something like throughout my life, like teaching myself to ride a unicycle, it's like, well, I can do this. I just need to practice until I can do it. And I think those kind of things are so enjoyable. So yeah, the aspect of sport and how it's so simple. If you put your time in doing the right things, you're going to get better.
I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned riding a unicycle because there's a lot of your life that sounds like it has been quite solo. Lots of time out on the trails, FKTs, and now you're entering this new phase of getting married. How much of an adjustment is that? Like you must have been so used to being in your space. Like talk me through what has led to this big life change and how it is kind of embracing that part of life.
Wow, not a deep question at all.
We could ask some superficial ones if you want.
Yeah, let's see how I
Hang on, I've got
attack this
nothing.
one.
What are your
that
splits?
That was like $1 million transition from unicycle to getting married too. That was
That's why we lure you in.
that was really incredible. Yeah, I think it's been really interesting because it was like this. When I was 20 years old, I jumped into the world of thru-hiking, and that's where I kind of found my identity as far as like, I have this much money to do this thing that I want to do, and my parents aren't helping me out. Like, I just have to figure out how to do this on my own. If I don't buy enough food, then I'm going to be hungry. If I break something, I'm going to have to fix it. So I think that was like a really good way that I grew up. And then that continued to grow from doing like the Calendar Year Triple Crown or the Great Western Loop, like 7,000 mile or 8,000 miles in a single year. And then I started doing FKTs, and then it was like, well, I'm meeting and I have some of these friends, but I don't really have a community around me. And then I kind of got that forced into me, I think, with COVID as well, especially like being a part of a run club and a leader of one and making friends like in my immediate vicinity, doing things socially, going and running the trails here with people. And I think that really opened my eyes to finding some balance for some of these things. Like what am I chasing with an FKT, especially if the joy for me is in the process and I love testing them and going and getting them, but I don't think it's something that carries the same weight. And I tried to make it do that in 2019, where I like jumped between FKTs and tried to squeeze as many in a year. It just kind of lacked a different part of life, I think, which is the celebrated or be proud of an accomplishment or something rather than just finish one, jump to the next one. And so, yeah, I think of all the negatives of COVID, it forced me to settle down and look around a little bit and figure out how to have a more well-rounded life. And I think over 6 years or so that led me to now where I'm trying to have a more balanced life, but I'm pretty independent still.
And that's the thing, isn't it? We think about marriage, or we think about connection as being this sort of not codependent, but there can be an interdependency, right? Where you can be absolutely, literally wedded to someone and have, concurrent goals and concurrent things that don't necessarily have to be the same thing for each person. But that's the challenge, and I don't know anyone who's ever figured that out, right?
I think we're going to try to have a perfect marriage, so maybe we'll be the first ones.
Yeah, I actually wrote a book on it. It's called Perfect Life, Perfect Family. I can send it to you.
Perfect Wife, Perfect Life. That's going to be our book.
That's exactly. My goodness. We were just talking as you came on, I'd written something this morning and I said, I remember what the first words my wife ever said to me. The first time I ever met her was like a random meeting in a hospital staff room, and it's funny how that can stick with you. And it was like, hey, if you're hungry, I've got a peach in my bag, but it's bruised, so you might want to leave it as a last option. Said in that tone, like completely like a random thing.
That's how you get them. That's the style.
Yeah. That was her. I mean, obviously the trap was set from that point on, and
You were hooked from then on.
Yeah,
You're
what
like,
am I
wow,
going to do? Pretty much.
And
she
Matt
wants me.
He was saying it was pre-emojis too, so it didn't have any.
Yeah, it was like 25 years ago. It wasn't. There was no subtext there at all. It was just it was just about a peach. But on through hikes and on FKTs, I was listening to one of your conversations with Bob Stewart.
Okay.
Who was talking about his Ben to McKay FKT attempt, and this run-in with this couple, and they seemed like they were pretty well-meaning, but like they were trying to drunkenly and quite assertively offer assistance, and his growing distress that this would disqualify his attempt. Now, I was on a long run, and I hadn't considered this. It really knocked me. I was like, I hadn't considered the strictness of each category. But for someone, or those of us who are FKT novices, would you be able to dive into the difference between unsupported and self-supported?
Yeah. So there's 3 categories of FKTs. You have unsupported, self-supported, and supported. And so unsupported means what you start with, that's what you have to do the whole thing. There's no resupplies. There's no walking into a town. There's no buying anything. There's no getting anything from someone else out there. You have to just do it with what you pack. So unsupported, nothing. And self-supported, this is what I did on the Appalachian Trail, where I could resupply, like I mailed myself food. So I could walk into a post office and pick up that package. I could also go into a store and buy food and carry that on. It basically means you're using all the amenities, resources that anyone that comes after you could use. You're not pre-setting up someone to come out and give you something. You're just using it kind of through hiker style. I think it used to be called like 20 years ago, but now you're self-supported, self-sufficient based on what everyone else can use. And then supported is when you can set up as much as you want. As long as you cover every step by foot on that route and connect the footprints on the whole trail, then you're good. Beyond that, people can carry your water, they can carry your food, you can sleep in a van, they can meet you anywhere. So it's basically, you just have to do the route as fast as possible. And as long as you did that, everything else is allowed.
So your Carol Sabe on Te Araroa, that's obviously fully supported. So he's racing, he's doing that. But so then your mate who's doing the Benton McKay, if he'd have taken a single nacho chip, that would have been him done.
Yeah, there's stories of people that accidentally get water from someone and it changes the category of their FKT. So yeah, it's tricky, especially because you're so tired. So it's almost like if you're in the desert, you don't have water, you're really tired, someone offers you water. That's like gets to be a hard test, I imagine. So it's tricky with some of these. I think one trail, I think it was the long trail, someone who lived in the area tried to put out like some cold drinks or something for me, and it was with a note, and I was like, well, I can't take any of these, like this is unsupported. So yeah, it is tricky, especially as the following or the interest in these grows, that if you're self-supported or unsupported, you can't have that assistance that maybe people following want to give you.
Is there a hierarchy, or is there a is there sort of an internecine 3-way war in the FKT world about what's the purest or what's the most efficient?
Yeah, I mean, I can just speak being really biased myself. I think that the supported style is quite overvalued. I mean, these create the fastest times, but it also makes it the least accessible for people. So if a 20-year-old is completely fit and able but doesn't have the financial resources to rent a van or find 20 friends to mule him the entire route, to compete with these professional runners with near bottomless support, for endless support financially to do some of these things. So I think that that's always celebrated the most by some of the media and stuff, just because it is the fastest pure time. But I think it's just a smaller pool of people who can compete in that realm. And that's why I think the self-supported and unsupported styles are much, I think they're nicer, better, and easier to compare across eras and stuff too. I mean, everything is going to change over time, but at least like for example, muling, where you're carrying your runners water and food while they're just running it. You have maybe 10 pounds of stuff that they need, but they don't have to carry. That's a pretty recent thing that's happened to make some of these times faster on the supported side. And so I don't know. I just think that takes away, it's just a different experience, I guess. But I would say self-supported or unsupported are very cool in that it's a lot more than just a physical test, and you have to have the right reasons for doing it. You have to have some strategies when it's really hard, because you can't just lean on whoever's out there next to you or ask for someone to run to the store and get you a cheeseburger or something. It's very, you're just in it. You're in it until it's over, or you quit when it's self-supported or unsupported.
I can imagine with that approach too that, it would lead to a lot more connection with nature probably. Like you'd have just more of that kind of isolation and I want to say time, but slightly less time pressures, but still time pressures. Like, do you find that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting connection to nature, because it's really becomes driven by how you adapt to it over kind of within the first week or two, especially like the sun. Well, before the sun comes up, the birds will start chirping, the sun will come up, and then like it'll slowly grow warmer throughout the morning and then kind of die down, sunset in the evening, birds stop chirping, and then, moon comes up and stuff. But you start to feel and live by that time frame and then fit the miles that you plan to do within that. And I think that's the really cool way your body adapts and appreciates nature, is it's driven by, because you're not spending pretty much a second inside. So you're just really out there doing nature, just like all the animals, I guess, with just very, very similar construct of time. Like it's very unique and hard to put into words how it feels, because you just kind of adopt this new, like, especially like a circadian rhythm that matches how the days work, rather than tomorrow you got to set an alarm for 4 a.m. versus the next day you can sleep till 10 a.m. Like your body just jumps into a cycle that works, and it feels really natural. And of course you're sore and tired and it hurts, but it's very rhythmic. It just feels like it naturally fits into what you're doing.
What was your transition from, you said you were competitive growing up, you were, you loved it, you loved the process. What was you also spoke about, on the podcast, you have at times you struggled to sort of form a connection, you even asked your dad, like, how does one make friends, that sort of thing. What is that what drew you to through hiking, or how did you get involved into that space?
Yeah, I just decided I didn't like college and I needed to quit. And in order to quit, I needed a really good reason to tell people I was quitting. Like I couldn't just go say didn't want to go to college, or I wanted to take a break and go live with my parents. I needed like a good reason. At least I thought at 20 years old. So I decided that reason was to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And out there, I think that's what it really showed me, and has kind of transitioned into the running space as well, is when you have this shared thing, like we're all hiking from Mexico to Canada this summer, then you already have a pretty massive thing in your life in common. So you can just like appreciate each other. You don't have to start with like, let's creep around and see what your religious or political views are. It's like, we already have this massive thing in common. Now we can just like have fun. We can talk about funny things. We can make each other laugh. Like we're on this same playing field immediately. And I think that was the part of relationships and friendships and stuff growing up that was especially hard in adolescence, because I don't know, I wasn't like into TV shows or music so much. It was like hard to find that like really pinnacle keystone thing that's like, we have this big thing in common. And at that age, I think most the things you think are big are not very big. But then when I found this world of thru hiking, we have this in common, and it was so easy to make friends that I still talk to today. And just when you're living kind of within that circadian rhythm of nature, it's like, well, we wake up and then we hike together. We have to climb this big snowy pass. We don't really know how to use a map, but we're going to learn together. Like all these things, it was just such a shared collaborative thing working towards a common goal. And I think that's what that introduction to like, okay, I can do this. I can have relationships, specifically in this community, and moving forward. I found that in running too, where, you know, people are training for something. They're spending a lot of their awake hours, especially if you just count outside of work, doing this activity. So that's a pretty big thing to have in common already, that you don't always have to talk about running or anything, but you can be doing the same activity, go for a couple runs a week, and you're spending 3 hours together. That's just like built-in time to build a relationship. So I think that's the big transition that it kind of showed me over time too, is like, these are the ways that I can build sustainable relationships, is like, let's find the common activity and we can build from there.
And it's interesting because I agree with you about that time on the trails and that shared kind of connection. And people have asked about it, and I've said, it's these side-by-side conversations where it's kind of non-confrontational, and you end up sharing and getting to know each other way faster than you would if you were sitting straight across from each other, which now we're kind of doing with this podcast. But I guess you've spent that time with people. How has that translated into podcasting? Like what? Yeah.
Well, I thought step one, get better at talking to people while you're on a trail. Step two, record it so everyone can hear.
Yeah.
Right into a microphone across from each other. But I started it with the only real goal of getting better at putting stories or what happens into words, just because I think that's a really important part of life and what makes us human. And so like this past month, I think yesterday I put out a podcast on the GR20, and just walking through it, like I made some notes along the way, and it's like, let's just practice sharing an experience wherever it goes. And I think that that's a muscle that's pretty important in a world where we're consumers a lot of the time of a few different things versus putting our own words out there and chatting with people, whether it's one-on-one or however it may be. So I just really wanted to develop that in the sense that I don't know if people will listen, but I can at least get better doing this, and it'll hold myself accountable having to put it up there. And then it's become a lot more than that, where I'll have guests on and like have conversations, not be embarrassed about what avenues I find interesting. It's like I can take the conversation that way. I think that's what makes it unique. And I think that's been the biggest transition. It was extremely scary to start. I actually started it on day one of Cocodona, so I wouldn't even see anything about it for 3 days. Like while I was running, it was like, I can't take it down. I can't pay attention. It's just going to be out there. And then I was in, and then it's kind of grown from there, but it's been a developed skill, slowly developed.
Look, I mean, I've been doing Dirt Church Radio, and we started it exactly the same. My friend and I, Eugene, we were out on the trail, and he said, what would happen if I was editing a magazine. He's a journalist. I'm not a journalist, but I was editing a magazine. And he said, what would happen tomorrow if you quit your editing job and started the podcast? Would you be upset? I said, I'd probably be a bit worried about it for about 10 minutes, and then it'd be all on. And I think a week later, 10 days later, we were recording our first episode and same thing. But look, which feels 8 years ago, that's like about 1 million TikTok years, right? This this format is now glacial in terms of new media, right? This is like a glacier road. Oh God, this attention's. We've been talking for 28 minutes. That's
Yeah, we sit right between.
What more could we be doing? But
We sit
I love your
between
podcasting.
TikTok and book readers. Like podcasts
It's exactly,
are right
and Moby
in the
Dick.
middle.
TikTok, Moby Dick, Dirt Church Radio, Free Outside. I love your podcast, dude. I've consumed a lot of trail media over the years, and it's informative and it's inspiring, actually. And oddly, I don't know, your pace, your timbre, it's on point. So
Thanks.
that's not a question. That's just I just wanted to let you know that, yeah, man, it's real cool. I listened to the Corsica pod on us driving to work, and it's so cool. So yeah.
So I have to ask now, what did you feel like when you published your first episode? Were you concerned? Did you?
Oh,
were you-
complete imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
What we had is so Eugene, who's still, very close friends, but he's moved. He was a proper journalist, like proper book writing, like good at that. And my job outside of the space is asking. I ask people questions for a living. Essentially, I'm a nurse, and I ask people questions, and some quite challenging questions at times, challenging conversations. So that's not the problem. That was never the problem. Having a conversation that starts at a point. It was that thing of what will people think. But we just had to press go, because if you. If we'd built a background for a set, I mean, we didn't have Zoom. This is pre-Zoom. If we had built a background for a set, then what were we going to do? There's no perfect time to just go, right? You just got to go when you got to go.
Yeah.
And then, the rest is history.
I think that's a really big thing these days. That's really hard. Is you can look around at short form media or anything out there and just want to do everything. And I think that's the hardest thing, because if you want to do everything, you just kind of end up don't doing anything. And if you just, it's like, okay, I want to do a podcast, so I'm going to record one within the next 2 weeks, upload it, and we're going. Like, I think that's the way to do things these days before you overthink it and you see some bro on TikTok telling you that you got to be able to do 200 push-ups before you're cool or something. I like that. I think it's really good to emphasize that, like, such a successful podcast and you just started it. That's the key. You don't have to figure out the recipe. Learn that along the way.
I'm sure it's the same as on the trail or in an ultra. You learn by doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
big time.
With that, I often say, if you have a platform, use it wisely. What do you want people to take away from your platform, your podcast, or what you're speaking to people about or sharing experience-wise?
Man, you got the $1 million questions over here. These are, wow.
off the top buckle.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey Jeff, what are your splits?
Yeah, do you want my favorite color? No, I think it's a very good question, and I think it's something to really consider, because it's so tricky, this world today, where it's like, if you feel like someone's telling you too much stuff, you're going to leave. So I like to wrap everything in like entertainment. So I think that sometimes, like, my best friend is not a runner. So I get a really good perspective about how boring running is. So if I look at it like that, it's like, let's make running not boring. And so, like, let's keep this entertaining. And then within that, I like to really open a space or chat, or especially leave room for, I've talked about a lot about like mental health or being vulnerable, and especially some of these things as men, because I have actually a lot of younger men that listen to my podcast. And I think in a way of like, this is a funny story or thing that happened to me, so it's entertaining, but also vulnerable, and I'll throw that out there. And it's okay that not everything's perfect, not life isn't completely optimized and everything like that. So I think it's the the two themes. Well, I know it's the two themes and thought about this a lot the first year, but of entertaining, like people want to listen even if they don't completely know the sport. Like I had the commentator for backcountry skiing in the Olympics on. Like it's just funny conversations like that. If I can keep people listening to something they don't know anything about, then I've won. And then also just vulnerability, like everyone coming on, whether they're Olympians or whether they're just someone that happens to be named Jeff during the month of Jeff. They're all like really, they have good stories to tell. They're all interesting people. It's just like we all have our things and we're all different. So I think that vulnerability side is quite big.
You're the second in our triarchy of Jeffs. We've had Jeff Browning on, now we've got you, and when we get Peltier on, I'm not sure what will happen. Maybe a portal will open or something, but...
No, I think I've had like 25 Jeffs, so you've got a ways to go.
Oh, no, but those are the three we've identified. But yeah, no, it's...
I'll send over my document of all the Jeffs in the world with contact info. It's called Club Jeff.
Is it a map?
Yeah, it's a map. There's a Jeff Maps. It's an app. You can see every Jeff around you.
A Jeff Map app. That's fantastic. Look, my job is mental health, right? That's what I am paid to do. It's what my degree is in. It's all of that stuff. And so much of content about mental health, especially on the internet, just makes me want to throw my phone.
Yeah.
Take my phone, throw it into the river by my house, because it's so self-conscious. It's clangy. It doesn't ring true. And I mean, you just speak about it in such an unself-conscious manner that is entertaining. You know, like were you surprised that resonated with people, especially because you're known for, like, you know, you've done every Cocodona, you've done top 10, you've got your FKTs, and then you're talking openly about, like, you know, you freaking out on the start of Cocodona because, you know, your trackers put you in, where was it, Africa in 1963 or something like that? Like,
yeah, Africa in 1969. I've made it back.
Yeah, fantastic. My dad was in Africa in 1969. Anyway, that's a
nice
side
guy.
story.
I met him.
Yeah. Keith Raymond, what a legend. But he, were you surprised at how that resonated? Because it's honestly it's incredible.
Thanks,
manner in which you talk about it.
Yeah, really good question. And I don't think I've been asked this, and I got a good answer, I think. So I wrote a book before I had a podcast back when, you know, people read books. And then I just am slowly following the content. Give me 10 years and I'll be a TikTok legend. But when I was writing my book, there was a pretty big moment where it was like I was writing a section about why I was quitting my job to do the calendar year Triple Crown, which is backpacking 8,000 miles. And like maybe halfway through, I was incorporated this story, and it was like, no, I'm just going to actually write the truth instead of changing it of like I was suicidal. And so I wrote that, and it like published the book, and people read it, and it's out there now. So it's like, it's like one line in the book. So the book isn't totally about that. I mean, it's very much about backpacking and the adventures and kind of finding myself as a 25-year-old out there. But it's a part of the book. It's a part of the story, but it's not the whole story. And that is kind of how I've adopted talking about it in general. Like you could probably go 10 episodes without me talking about anxiety. And then maybe there's 5 in a row, or I'll talk about when I was suicidal or something as well. And these stories come up, but they're not like the backbone. They're not the whole thing. And I think that's kind of how we are as people. And that's kind of how I approach it. And I wouldn't know how to approach it any other way because, yeah, the content online is terrible. And so I think just letting people into me as a person shows that as a part of me as a person, but there's also a bunch of other parts. And I think that's how we should think of mental health in general, is it's a piece of us, but there's also other pieces too.
And I think that's probably a good realistic way to share too, because sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. And it's probably really helpful for people going through it too, to, you know, recognize that it's the same for somebody else.
Yeah, I think it's just one thing I don't know, maybe as a little kid, I couldn't sleep and was just thinking through this, but I've always had this thought like in my head that if there's someone in the world probably having the best moment of their life right now and someone having the worst moment of their life, and then there's kind of us in the middle. And that's like always happening. So I think that like if someone cuts you off in traffic or something, just thinking about it with that context of there probably is context, but we don't know it. And we're just all kind of on this plane of best to worst is, I don't know, kind of how I've thought about it. Just, yeah, sometimes I'm having a great day. Most of the time it's a medium day, sometimes a bad day. And then what filters through sharing along with that, or especially in the podcast or something, I think that is just kind of how at least life goes for me on, yeah, sometimes it's a topic. A lot of the times it's medium, nothing new.
It's a good way to look at it. The other day I was out walking around this beautiful lake that we have where I live, and the sun was shining, the water was glistening, the light was filtering through the trees, and this lady was walking towards me, and I was like, "Good morning," and she's like, "Fuck off." Oops, I need a I was just shocked, but then I thought, like that, she's in a tough place clearly right now. Like, so I think where you touched on is like being able to show kind of empathy or consideration to recognize where somebody's at of a day is important.
Yeah, like you probably weren't the reason for her really bad day, but you received the vitriol there. So just if you can attach context, then maybe it doesn't ruin your whole day, just your next hour.
There is a lot out there that can be quite jarring. You touched on it with social media. Like there is that kind of real, I'm going to call it a tough guy culture, or, like that bravado of like, nothing's ever wrong with me. I'm the strongest man in the world.
Yep.
How does that sit with you?
Well, since my core belief is that you only get one best, like of everything, like, you have the best scoop of ice cream at some point in your life, and you're not ever going to have a better one. So, only one guy can be the strongest in the world. So the rest of them have to be full of shit, right? But I do think it's a really big problem for young men in this world of, I don't know, these things are somehow dominating the algorithm, and the tone at the top, especially here in America, is not great. And yeah, maybe we can't influence or make a worldwide change or something, but I think showing a different way as an example for a few people, if that gets through, can make an impact, and maybe they are more cognizant and stuff, because I just don't like anything that only shows one aspect of a person. Like if you stay hard and never give up to anything and just be really strong, optimize your life. It's like, that is not how everyone lives. And then when you try to live like that and fail, you're going to be down on yourself. And then we can't show vulnerability because you got to stay hard and nothing's wrong. And it just creates this loop of really, really angry people, I think. So yeah, it bothers me. I wish I could change it more, and it seems like it's getting worse.
I always said, and I'd say very often, I'll say now, I've said on this podcast before, I think if David Goggins started crying, he'd probably never stop. There's got to be and God love him. Like, you do you, boo, and from an entrepreneurial perspective, like, perfect. But, you've bilked a bunch of middle-class dudes into giving you money. And purpose, structure, discipline, all that stuff, I get it. But, man, come on. There has to be a flip to that coin, because if there isn't... Do you get... Again, another thing, month of Jeffs, this is a celebrating Jeffs. Like, I love that thing of, like... And again, I've devoted my life to working in... Devoted. I've got one trick. I'm a one-trick pony, but I work in mental healthness, right? And when you hang around people who can be so fundamentally, and it's not everyone, but some people are so fundamentally odd, right? And then you have this kind of curated weirdness, or this curated, like, I did a 200-mile race, or I did this and that, the other thing. And then I see you and you're like, let's play the Frozen soundtrack on my 6 Cocodonas, and I've come top 10, everyone. Like, fuck it, let's wear dresses. We're all in dresses. All my crew is in dresses. Do you get people like that? Must break people's brains, because it's kind of the antithesis of what tough looks like. And I say that in air quotes. Do people reach out and be like, bro, what?
Yeah, all the time. I think that's my my comedy. Like, I love comedy and I love irony too. So it was just like, I don't know, 150 miles in, it was just like, Tara Dower, can you go to the thrift store and get 5 dresses? Because that is what we're going to need for the finish of this thing. So yeah, I think that like these things that we're doing, whether it's through hiking or an FKT or running, like none of them are to the point, or we're not to the point where you need to clock in like your 9 to 5. This needs to have a little deeper enjoyment in it. And if it's fun and making you laugh and recreational, you can also do really well. I try to be the example of that. But by doing well, it doesn't mean you need to have no fun. Like I think that's the biggest problem, is so many people have done well at races and also had fun, that we don't need to over optimize everything. I mean, probably choosing to wear the right thing, but also if it's fun, maybe that's the right thing. And we don't know the connection totally between physical and mental too. So if you're creating a better consciousness or mind or just attitude about what you're doing, then you're going to be more successful as well. And maybe that's just different than wearing the traditional race kit. But I think that more than makes up for anything about any minutes I lost putting on a dress.
Can I ask that about Cocodona too? Like the progression, and I want to get to sort of you jumping into the world of ultras, but in the 6 years that it's been going, what are your thoughts on the especially this year, we're at the pointy end, and you're in that pointy end, right? You're top 10, but at the pointy end, Rachel going hard. Whenever I see Precision Nutrition, I mean, they're probably ruining our sponsorship now. I think, this is an F1 pit crew stop, and this has been dialed in. It obviously didn't start like that, but are you? It sort of this year it almost looked like a double Western, where at the point end everything's so efficient and we're just going. Where do you see that ending up?
Well, I think that's a good example also on, they all had these ridiculous looking sweatsuits. So there's the fun involved there. So it's not like optimization or just like having this formula for success or being so fast, like 100, without the thoughts of this is fun and enjoyable too. So I think that it can grow together. I mean, technical tuxedos should come out soon, so we can, wear anything. And I've said for years, you need to use those race photographers to your advantage. If you need engagement photos, sign up for a race, get those done out there. You could do like first grade school photos for your kid. So yeah, I think that it's just going to be like anything where there are people that I guess also embrace their personality. It's totally different for everyone too. And I think there will be those that don't, or are more centered on statistics or shaving seconds or something. And I think that's fine. But time and time again, we've seen that one isn't better than the other. And I think that's kind of where I land with most of it. Like I'm not gonna wear my really awesome gorilla costume to run Cocodona. Like that would be dumb. I need to be conscious of.
You said that for your wedding.
yeah, exactly. That's for the first dance. So, but it's just like, well, can throw some dresses on. That's a fun way to do it, or share things leading in that's funny. I think it's just more showing your personality and finding your group of people in this crazy world too, that if you love gear, running gear and breakdowns and stuff like that, there's awesome podcasts and people to chat with about that stuff too. So I think more than trying to be for everyone, just being what you are, and you'll end up with the group you actually want to be around.
Awesome.
Fun is so important, but I'm sure there's probably been times when things haven't been so fun. Like we talk about post-race come downs. What's it like finishing an FKT or a thru hike? Like, because I can imagine you're just out for so long and there's so much focus and enjoyment that comes from it and challenge. And then what? Wow,
you're so good at these transitions from fun to the least fun. That was really pro level. So it's really tough because you change your whole life dramatically overnight. Even like Cocodona can feel like that. You are going aid station to aid station. Your tasks are to eat, drink, and have enough sodium, basically. And that's all you have to do. And then suddenly it's over and you have to check your email. Oh yeah, you got stuck looking at Instagram reels for 15 minutes. You need to make yourself lunch. You forgot to do this. You gotta invoice somebody. It's just like, I think all these things involve so much simplicity on it's a very defined goal that you're going towards. And a defined goal means you have really defined tasks that you need to do in order to get that goal. And then suddenly when you go back to normal life or these challenges end, you don't have a defined goal. You have a defined 100 goals and you're trying to work to all of them at the same time because that's how life is set up. And that's where it's overwhelming mentally. Of course, you feel like physically you're still figuring things out, but just the sheer busyness that your brain is inundated with, I think is the hardest, most overwhelming part. It's like you change schools, but your new school's in a different country and you don't know how to communicate with anyone at it anymore.
You're so right with the amount of tasks that we get put through in a day. I remember at work when Oc Health came out and said, no, one screen on your computer now is unsafe because you can't cope with the amount of information and task things that are coming up, and for your safety, we have to have two screens. So now you can be completely bombarded at all times.
Wow.
There's competing information. Yeah, no, this is in healthcare. They're like, no, this is unhealthy. And again, I think about being in meetings in the Zoom era. I'm quadruple booked at some points during my day. Like I have to triage my calendar. Like I virtually and physically can't be in these spaces at the same time. So that must be such a jarring after months alone, or not months, but a long time alone on the trail. Hey, what was it like coming from doing these big FKTs and thru hikes into ultra marathons? What was your transition there?
It was bumpy. I just decided to do them. I think COVID hit. I'd been applying to the Barkley Marathons for a while, and then I got in. And so that was my first ultra that I did. 150K in the Colorado mountains. I did it with poles because I didn't know anything, and 3 ham sandwiches. So that was my true first ultra. But I didn't really know anything about the sport until COVID, I would say. And I just did the Barkley Marathons, met Jamil Curry. He said, "Do you want to run Cocodona?" And it was like, what the heck is Cocodona? He's like, a 250-mile race. And it was like, well, I don't know anything about ultra marathons, but sure, I'll do it. And so I did the first Cocodona. I drove down there just by myself. I didn't know pacers were a thing. And it was like drop bags will be collected at the beginning or the day before. So I packed like my duffel bag up like I was going on vacation and brought it over to the truck. And they're like, "Where's this drop bag going?" And I was like, "It's going everywhere, right? Like it goes one bag to rule them all." And he was like, "No, you need a separate one for every drop bag location." And it was like 30 minutes before the race. And so it was like, well, definitely not doing that. So I'm just going to put a spare pair of socks in my bag and just make it good enough with what I'm going to have. And so that's kind of how I learned very quickly about how to do ultras, and after Cocodona, everything feels approachable. So that's I started at the long end of racing, and ever since then it's been, it feels pretty comfortable with the distance. Been working my way down.
That's insane to start with. To start at the
Barclays.
Cocodona, yeah, Barclay and Cocodona to start. Have you had fun? Have you done shorter stuff? Have you had fun doing that?
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun, especially coaching for the past like 4 or 5 years now. I have tried to jump in as many different types of races as I could too, like last person standing, fixed time races. I did a stage race. So I've tried to do every type because I think they're so fun and unique. And also there's not that much crossover. So if you go to like a 15, 20 mile trail race, you might meet totally new people from the 100-mile running scene. So yeah, I've tried to do everything. I like it all. I think 50 milers are my favorite because you can get up, go run a long race that's impressive and be home for dinner. So that's pretty cool.
Have you ever come to New Zealand? Like, because if you like 50 milers, Old Ghost Ultra is worth a look.
Okay. Yeah. I've wanted to get out there to the Tararoa or Tarawera too. So
cool.
Looked at that.
Awesome. Hey, what was it odd? The amount of support and care and comfort, relative comfort, obviously, in an organized ultramarathon, coming from like, you're just like in the bush with a cut down toothbrush, I'm sure, and other stuff. But you are like, you had so little
awesome
information.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like at Cocodona that first year, like every 10 miles, there's trail magic. Like, what do you want? We can cook it for you. You can have it. It's like, can I take extra waffles and candy with me? They're like, fill your pockets. It's like, this is the most incredible way to do anything ever. And that first year it wasn't full. So Jamil just gave me a free entry too. And so it was like, I'm getting so much free stuff on top of this race. At the end, they gave me a belt buckle and it was like, I don't have a belt, but I'm going to get one just because of this. Yeah. There's nothing like your first, it was so awesome.
You didn't even need that drop bag.
Yeah. I didn't even really think about it as a race. It was just like, this is pretty cool. I just run when I want, eat a bunch of stuff, and just like finish this thing whenever.
How do you, as a coach, how do you convey that sense of, because everyone's got their different size gas tank, right? Or, whatever you want, a different size parachute, whatever you want to say, in terms of what they feel they can achieve, or that sense of fear or anxiety around a race distance or something. As someone who's kind of, you've knocked the top off most of them. How do you convey that to people? That like, how do you imbue that sense of fun into training or fun into race approach?
Yeah, a few tangible and less tangible things, I guess. But a big thing I really like to do, especially when coaching people doing like 100 miles plus, like things where you're going to be out there for so long, or FKTs, is to really have them think about what are their values or what are their like strengths and stuff, and how that's going to play into things. Like if you really value the freedom of being out there, or flexibility can be a value, or I don't know, patience or whatever it may be, then that can help. You can connect that to like a race plan or an FKT plan, or like someone that is much more driven by being out there, helps them be flexible, not tied to like the 9 to 5. It's like, well, then let's build a plan for this FKT around this is our daily mileage, but how we get that in is fluid if you want to take a nap in the middle of the day. So that's like pretty tangible way to apply some of these anxieties, is like, let's focus on what makes you a person, and then we'll just start applying that to what this adventure is. And the other thing is like letting people know when you're nervous or anxious or anything, that's a really good thing, because it means you value it. Like you're going to put the time into it. If you just show up to all these things that you're not nervous about, you're not pushing yourself in the ways that elicit like real feelings. So going into something, nerves or anxiety or questions can be some of that fuel along the way that is like, okay, because I'm nervous, I got to go do my workout today, or I got to make sure that I'm eating enough to recover after my workout, or I need to not do anything on my rest day so that I'm ready for the next day. Is talking about it more like that. And I think that's kind of my whole philosophy and how I think about life too, is instead of ignore that there can be a problem, like we don't want to put anything out there like maybe my pack will break halfway through an FKT. I like to think of it as far as like, well, okay, that can happen for sure. But if that happens, what would I do? Okay, I could tie it together with a different strap. And that actually happened to me during an FKT, 25 miles from the end of the John Muir Trail. My pack broke. I tied it together just how I'd thought through in the sauna over the days leading in. And it was like, okay, the problem solving worked, it connected. And I just used some of that anxiety to think through what are some things that could go wrong? How would I solve them? So I think just thinking through it in terms of acknowledge that it's there, acknowledge the nerves are there, and then use it in a few different ways that are leading to positivity or just mental toughness or strength along the way, is like, here's the examples of why I can be successful doing this goal. Like, so I think it's a tool to use rather than ignore exists. And at least that's how I like to think about it.
I think are we at the greatest run ever point, Matt?
I think we're at the greatest run ever
greatest
point.
run.
Look, and again, as we said at the start, this is binary.
It's graded.
It'll be graded, yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, look, Jeff, this has been a beautiful conversation. Thank you for being so generous with your time, and we appreciate, you've just got back from a long trip and life carries on, so making time for us and actually doing the math, because we're in different time zones. It's a different day.
I was messaging you on the plane, not knowing what time zone I was in, not knowing what time zone you were in, and not knowing how that equated to where I'm going to be. So it was tough.
You did well. You did really well.
Africa 1969.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hanging out with Keith Raymond on safari. He literally was. He was a safari guide. You should see the elephant head hanging on my wall. No, I don't. Can't talk about that anymore.
No.
No, he wasn't.
That was what your first episode was about.
That's exactly right. Exactly. Jeff Garmire, what's been your greatest run ever?
Okay, I got to set the stage here. So in 2021, I got into this thing with my friend where every full moon throughout the summer, or every time we could get one in, we would try to do a really epic run, like start in the evening under the full moon, all at night. So we did a local ridge line here, and then we did like a longer trail up to a lookout here in Montana. And then it was like month 3, like we should travel to do something epic. So we flew out to the Northwest and ran the Timberline Trail in the moonlight at dark. And that was really cool because you're getting tired and delirious running on caffeine by the end of the night, yet the moon is casting shadows. So you're just getting a really fun headspace on like, you're kind of laughing at everything because you've been up for too long. You can see kind of with the moon and your headlamp. And yeah, it was a really, really awesome way to spend an evening the first time we traveled for a moonlight run, a full moon run.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jeff. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials, and look forward to, connecting in the future, and hopefully one day we'll see you down in Aotearoa for that Te Araroa.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks for having me.
I find I don't fanboy out too much, but sorry, Jeff, and I don't want to be awkward. I was fanboying out. I think he's brilliant. I love listening to his podcasts.
You hardcore were, Matt. I'm just going to put that there. I could see. I was
love
like,
it.
Matt had little love hearts coming out of his eyes
100%.
at Jeff, just like, you're
he's
the
fantastic.
man.
He's fantastic.
He is super cool. Yeah.
And as I said before, as a mental health professional, 99% of mental health media out there, or at least what my algorithm's popping up, just makes me want to get my phone and throw it in the river. And, to hear someone talking about, and especially, gosh, we were watching something last night, and I won't name the name, but I had to close the computer down. It was sort of right on the cusp of that sort of broification of running. And I was like, oh, hell nah. It was bad. Jeff and seems to be the antidote to that. And, or not Jeff solely, that's putting a lot of work on him, but just his refreshing toughness without being, quote unquote macho, and amazing things he's done, and how authentic he talks about, mental health, because everyone has mental health, and it's vitally important. So go support him, free outside, and thanks very much, Jeff. It was amazing to have you on, and I'm glad you got to hang out with my dad in Africa in 1963. Keith says hi, and we'll look forward to seeing you down here for either Te Araroa or Tarawera.
Yeah.
Dirt Church Radio.
Dirt Church Radio is presented by me, Matt Raymond,
Me, Ali Pottinger.
and our third cousin, Andrew McDowell. We're on all the podcast platforms, so like, follow, and give us a rating. It really helps. And we're on social media at Dirt Church Radio, or you can email us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com.
Remember to sign up to our Substack for a weekly newsletter and aid station podcast, and also write in with your greatest run ever. We'd love to hear from you, and you can read them on the website too. And thanks to our supporters Further Faster and our Substack subscribers in the DCR aid station crew. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for our show in 2 weeks when we have another great guest lined up.
Mā te wā.